G'day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to take a look at the Super Saiyan 3 category Extreme Super Battle Road stage. So the Super Saiyan 3 category Extreme Super Battle Road stage is a pretty tough stage. It's honestly probably one of the harder stages, just in terms of like its category, because it's such a small category. It has very limited options, especially if you haven't been summoning on the Dragon Ball Heroes banners, or you don't have any of the Super Saiyan 3 Vegetas. So before we talk about team builds or anything like that, or strategies or whatnot, we'll just run through this team and what we have here. So we have the Strength Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, pretty solid unit, obviously available with a Redstone currently, but a super reliable unit. Was a very important unit for the very first Esbr for Super Saiyan 3 and continues to remain very important. His stunning ability along with his tanking ability is just something that is so useful in short form content that it's very difficult to not use him. A 90% damage reduction tank is just something that you're going to struggle not to utilize. As our double leads for the category, we have the Int Super Saiyan 2 Angel Goku, who transforms into Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Very solid unit as well. Great stats in his base form. Doesn't need to transform to be useful, but obviously when he does transform, gains quite a few extra abilities like evasion, attacks effective against all types, and of course stunning on his super attack, which is very helpful, and we'll talk about strategies and things like that just now. But it is a very helpful mechanic. We then also have Gotenks. So we have the Int Gotenks, who transforms into Super Saiyan Gotenks, and then later on will transform into Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. Now the Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks transformation is somewhat helpful, but you shouldn't really see it. I never saw it, and it really shouldn't pop out. When it does pop out, great, because you'll do a lot of damage, but it's not really something you can holistically rely on, because it just takes so long to get there. But his stunning ability and his very high defense in his Super Saiyan forms are very powerful abilities. Not only the fact that he fires multiple super attacks, or has a very high chance of firing multiple super attacks, but he will fire multiple super attacks, and those will also have a chance to stun, and they'll raise his defense. So it makes him a very good utility based unit for this team, and kind of pivotal to the strategy that you want to kind of run. Then we also have, of course, at least on my team, we have the Angel Goku, the Angel Tech Goku. Fantastic unit, who pairs really well with the Strength Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. They both share quite a decent amount of links, especially key links. And the Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku, with his recent EZA, is a very solid unit. Does a lot of damage, which is good with his attacks effective against all types. His defense can get to a very good point, especially in the second slot next to the Strength Vegeta. Very good little combo there with their positionings, Vegeta being able to be in the primary slot, and then Goku obviously being able to exist entirely in the secondary slot. And then we finally, on the other rotation, we have just the two Dragon Ball Heroes units. So we have Gotenks and Vejenks, I think, or Vehenks or something like that. I can't really pronounce it correctly, but so we have the two Dragon Ball Heroes units, a very powerful combination. I actually think it's Gotenks and Gohanks. Yeah, I think it's that. So Gotenks, the AGL one, very good unit. Essentially will fire off multiple super attacks, and then each of those super attacks will lower the attack and defense of the opposition. Very good unit. His defense, both their defenses can get to very high. We're talking over 220, 250,000 defense, as long as you keep their stacks up. And they both pair well off of each other. They will fire additional super attacks if they're paired alongside each other. They will make sure that they obviously debuff the enemy, and both of them, their passives play on the debuffing as well. They will fire additional super attacks if the enemy is lowered in attack and defense, or lowered in terms of, or stunned or sealed and things like that. So they actually pair really well together. One thing now that we've gone through the whole team, one thing that's obviously pivotal to this team build is, so we have 2 stuns sitting on the main rotation. We have SS3 Vegeta, who's got a 50% chance at stunning, and we have Goku, who's got a 30% chance at stunning. Gotenks will be floating and be the provider of a floating stun. So that'll just be a way for us to catch a stun every now and then, one out of every 3 turns. Gotenks is pretty reliable, but mainly due to the fact that he fires additional super attacks. And then, of course, in the other rotation, we have a debuffer in the form of AGL Gotenks. Now, the fact that he'll be firing 2 to 3 super attacks makes his attack lowering and his defense lowering very effective, because by firing 2 or 3 instances of attack and defense lowering, you will be lowering the opposition's attack quite substantially, and that's something that's very, very good and helps quite a bit in terms of just controlling the opposition. And then finally we have the Gohanks, I believe that's his name, who has sealing. So his sealing will prevent the opposition from firing off super attacks. You can see there how much their defense is shot up overall and how much better it is. And his sealing is going to prevent at least one of the opposition from firing off any super attacks. So ideally the situation is that you get the 2 stuns off from SS3 Angel Goku and from Vegeta. If you don't manage to get the 2 stuns off, you have a seal that you can utilize. You can attack lower as well. You do have a floating stun as well that exists. So overall you have a pretty decent lineup. Ideally you focus one of the enemies down while you stun the other enemy, and then that enables you to get the transformation with both Gokus, and getting that transformation with both Gokus then allows you to have 2 more stuns. Now that doesn't really happen according to plan. The main reason being is sometimes we miss the stun. Also, sometimes one of the units crits, and then Goku can't transform if the unit he's facing doesn't have more than 80% health. So if Goku is facing someone and they have less than 80% health, he won't transform. So that does tend to pretty much happen every time, just because we end up having someone essentially hitting a crit or hitting a double attack or something like that, and you end up just doing a little bit too much damage. It's not the end of the world. The team itself can handle those situations quite well. The most dangerous part of this team build is generally just getting the rotation set. So in the beginning, getting Goku to set up his rotation and things like that, or getting the Vegeta and the Goku onto the same rotation, or getting the 2 DB Heroes units on the same rotation is something that you kind of have to do. And that's generally your most dangerous part, because you don't really have the whole debuff kind of arrangement sitting. If you're looking for different Super Saiyan 3 leads, so Goku's very clearly the best Super Saiyan 3 lead. Your next best bet is going to be the Int Bardock, but he is so outdated that you're better off just not attempting until you pretty much get Goku. I know it sounds really bad to say, but it's really not something you can do that well. Other suitable SS3 units, so the Tech Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta and the Physical Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta both recently got EZAs. They can link with, they got Awakenings, not EZAs. They can link with each other, which is great, and really, really helps them out, because not only does it kind of like give another rotation to the Super Saiyan 3 team, but it means you don't have to struggle to find other people for them to link with. They're both pretty good. The physical one has guarding, and the tech one has a higher level of attack and defense. And they can get to pretty good points, but they will require items. They're very similar to the Dragon Ball Heroes unit. So if you don't have the Heroes units and you're looking for options, then you can utilize that Vegeta combo, because they're a very similar concept. They'll start off a little bit slow, but they will eventually build up after just a single turn or so to being very, very high in terms of their attack and defense. So if you don't have the Dragon Ball Heroes units and you're looking for a similar type of arrangement, you can pick up that Vegeta, the physical one, and the tech Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. But just remember, they won't have the utility. So the reason I opted for the Dragon Ball Heroes units is because they have better utility featured in their seal and in their attack, lowering, and defense. Although the Vegetas, from what I've seen, do gain attack and defense at a slightly higher rate, especially if they're taking multiple attacks. And we will try them out, and we'll do videos on them and like that in the future, but they are alternates. You can see here we do manage to get Goku's transformation. And you'll see how helpful this transformation is, because it allows us to really control out the Hirudegan. And you can see here, obviously we have pretty good defense again from the Gotenks and the Gohanks. Super solid combination. We're only fighting one enemy now. So the moment you eliminate the second enemy and you're only fighting one, your job becomes instantaneously a lot easier, because the Super Saiyan 3 team carries so much control. So having the seal, having the attack lowering, having the defense lowering, having the multiple stuns, all those sort of things really just add up, and the team can just really control the opposition. Not to mention they're all pretty strong now. They're all like the DB Heroes units and the aforementioned Vegeta units build up their defense to very, very high points. The Angel Goku is a very solid unit now, especially with his attack effective against all types. For the first 5 turns he dishes out a lot of damage, and then you've got the Vegeta, the strength one, who doesn't maybe do so much damage, but his defense reduction is there for a very long portion of time. And then once you get these Gokus transforming, he's also attacks effective against all types, but he also has quite good attack stats as well. This Gotenks also fantastic in terms of his build, just floating in here, providing stuns and things like that. So I mean, in this situation, Hirudegan is sealed, so there's really no threat to anyone on our team. We are pretty much in a very, very powerful situation, and we have like full control over what's going on here. So it's obviously a very good situation to have, and when you can keep the unit constantly stunned like this, constantly keep him stunned, keep him in the zone where you can just do damage, you don't have to worry about taking damage back. It helps you to save items, and also just keeps your health nice and topped up. And with this team, it doesn't really drop off. Vegeta and Goku, the Angel Goku, will technically drop off eventually, but by the time they drop off, we shouldn't really have any issues. The only shame is that we couldn't get any additional attacks or any crits really on the last turn to kind of like destroy Hirudegan, so we're going to end up wasting the Dokkan attack on him, and that's probably the only shame that's occurred here. Everything else has kind of gone exactly according to plan, so that would have just sped up the next round. Not to mention that Gotenks and Gohanks are probably not the units we want to be getting the Dokkan attack on, but it's really not an issue. So we'll seal up Hirudegan again, and you can just see he was stunned, now he's sealed. Now he's going to be attack lowered, defense lowered, attack lowered, defense lowered, attack lowered, defense lowered. And so even like if the stun fails, the fact that he's sealed and has 3 instances of attack and defense lowering on him means for the most part you're really just not going to struggle like at all. But that's pretty much it for Hirudegan. So obviously the next phase that we'll be looking into will be the final phase. So the reason you wanted to keep the Dokkan attack for the final phase is just quite frankly because, well, there's 4 enemies, so it makes it the best stage to have an AoE attack on, and our multiple stun / seal / debuff build doesn't really work so well against multiple enemies, as you guys should know by now. But if you do not know, in ESBR and SBR, the more enemies that there are in a stage, traditionally the lower their health pools are, they have less HP, and they will do slightly less damage individually than they would if they were one big single unit. However, of course, that does come with the caveat that they can fire multiple different typed supers against you. So for this stage, the general best strategy is we try to take out the physical Goten as quickly as possible. This is mainly just due to the fact that Goten obviously is a big threat to our Int Super Saiyan 3 Gokus, who of course are the leads for our category, but he's also a big threat against Gohanks. So we have multiple Super Saiyan 3 Int units that we kind of want to just keep generally protected from the threat of Goten. So we try to take him out, but obviously also we pick off units where we can. We don't bother using the Int type units to take out anyone else, so we focus on the tech type Gohan, as that's the best way. Another alternative way is to keep the Goten stunned up and to take out Gohan, then Trunks, and then focus on Goten and Baby, which is also the general idea of the strategy. You don't want to really split up damage too much, because that can end up with you leaving far too enemies around, or far too many enemies around, so it makes taking them all out quite difficult. So generally speaking, you don't really want to just, try to stun everyone or do this and do that. You generally just want to throw your 2 stuns on 2 different enemies, and then you want to use the rest of your units to focus in on one single enemy at a time, and you want to take them out, because taking them out is obviously very, very important, and it just eliminates the threat of super attacks coming in from multiple angles, which is always super helpful. Baby does hit quite hard. I think he has slightly more health and hits harder than the other units combined that you can generally find that in SBR and ESBR stages. If you're fighting Frieza and the Frieza Force, most of the time Frieza will have a higher health pool and do more damage than the remaining members of the Frieza Force, but it won't be by too much, but they will be noticeably stronger. So here obviously we've managed to take out Gohan, which is a very big help, and then now we need to decide who we're going to focus on next. Generally I focus on Trunks, just trying to remove him off the field. We don't really have any physical type units that are weak to the strength based Trunks, but generally it's just he seems to be the weakest and he's somewhat easy to get rid of. So I generally try to focus on getting rid of him as best we can. Again, we're trying to stun up Baby and Goten as our major units to stun up, as that will keep us safe from most of their attacks. Like I said, Baby hits the hardest. Then we also have a couple tech units in the team. We have Tech Angel Goku, so that is one of the tech units, but there are a couple pretty good tech Super Saiyan 3 units that Baby is obviously a very big threat to, so you do just want to be somewhat careful there. And then of course we try to take out the Trunks and the Goten, and then that will leave us with only 1 or 2 more units, so that's pretty good, and then we'll be pretty solid in terms of what we're doing and where we're planning to go and things like that. So for the most part, everything's more than fine, but we're generally we're just picking our targets and making sure we do eliminate enemies. Like here, it's important that we focus Goten, make sure we get rid of him. We don't want to have a situation where we haven't got rid of Goten and he throws out a super, so we want to make sure we get rid of Goten. Then we need to make sure that we get rid of Trunks, and etc, etc. So you do need to make sure that you're finishing off the enemies. It's great to get them all low, but if you don't finish them off, they are going to out damage you eventually, especially in these latest ESBR. They do hit quite hard, so you do need to make sure that you can take them out and that everything else flows perfectly fine, and then you should be pretty good to go. You'll see here how we're also remembering to use our seal. We're sealing up Baby because he is the biggest threat at the moment, and we're going to be able to seal him up, which is obviously quite important. So that is something that we do need to be aware of. And then of course, Gotenks is going to transform now, which is great. That gives him his stun, so that gives us another utility option. So now that Baby is sealed up, We have the ability to stun him. We have Gotenks' stunning ability as well. And we have better control of this fight because we only have 2 enemies left. So yeah, things are going relatively well at this point. We're maintaining a very solid level of control, which is very, very good. And we're managing to obviously keep everything pretty much intact from a offensive point of view. Everything's seemingly going fine. We're not running into too many issues. We're taking 1 or 2 supers that are a bit unlucky, but for the most part we haven't got massive amounts of bad luck in this run. Our team is pretty well put together. The DB Heroes units provide a very solid secondary rotation, and yeah, they just bring a very good set of skills on, you know, Esbr, with the ceiling, with the attack lowering, the defense lowering. So yeah, everything appears to be running to plan. Runs very well. The team itself has pretty good link synergy. We've obviously got quite a few nice big buffs with, you know, Super Saiyan 3 like we've mentioned before. The biggest buff was still this Super Saiyan 3 Goku. He's still by far and large the very best Super Saiyan 3 lead by a country mile. So yeah, that does help. That's always going to help. You know, it's fantastic that he's here. And yeah, it just really helps us out overall. So we have pretty much got full control here, and we're going to seal up the victory with Gohanks, which is awesome. But yeah, overall the run was pretty good. I think the team was really good. I think the ESBR is really well balanced. A lot of these units have 1 or 2 dupes in them, but overall I think it's been pretty good and a lot of fun. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time. Until then, take care, stay safe, and bye.